Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin is continuing to play out the oversold signal on the daily time frame and also playing out the short-term bullish divergence on the smaller time frames. And this is now leading into a short squeeze as predicted, helping to push the price a little higher in the short term. So I'll be talking about that and the next Bitcoin move about to happen very soon. I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is now perfectly starting to play out the oversold signal, just like what we saw these last few times here. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP, we've just now officially confirmed a new shorter term bullish divergence on the daily XRP price chart, which is something that we need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and this super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger bearish trend. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have the massive bearish divergence to watch out for. We've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to actually invalidate the bearish divergence, which means overall it is still influencing the price of Bitcoin and still playing out on the much larger time frames. But remember, as I always say, understand the difference between the different time frames. In the short term, on the small time frames, we can see short-term bullish moves, bullish reliefs or bounces from support, things like that from time to time in the shorter term. But overall, if we're looking at the bigger picture over multiple weeks, if not months, of course, already for over a month now, and most likely moving forward on the larger time frames, we're still looking quite weak, lacking the bullish momentum on the larger time frames, at least compared to back here, for example. And so overall, not a lot has changed over the last one day on the weekly Bitcoin price charts. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, we can see that right now the price of Bitcoin is continuing to bounce from this area of support at roughly 85 to 86,000. So at give or take 85,000, still expect a lot of support around there on the price chart. And if we continue this bounce further, especially if we start breaking out now above around 88,000, which was a possible point of resistance here in the short term based on previous resistance at close to 88,000. But if we continue the breakout beyond that point, in that situation, the next price target, the next area of resistance to watch out for is in between 92,000 to 94,000. So ultimately, that is the next major price target here in the short term if we continue this bounce here. And once again, as for support, expect a lot of support at give or take 85,000, at least for now. That is the key support to watch out for. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously right now the price of Bitcoin, and already over the last 1 to 2 days, has started to perfectly play out this oversold signal from the daily Bitcoin RSI. And obviously the last time we saw this signal confirm and start to play out was basically back in late February this year. And what came next over the next few days, over the next 1 week, just in the shorter term, was a short-term bullish bounce. Now, I want to make it clear this signal by itself does not necessarily confirm the bottom of the larger bearish trend. For example, last time we did ended up going lower later on in the price of Bitcoin over the next multiple weeks, over the next 1 month or so, but just in the short term for the following days, for the following 1 week, we did see just a short-term bullish relief, a decent bounce in the short term. So once again, that is now perfectly playing out exactly as I've already been predicting over the last 2 to 3 days now. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, not only did we hit oversold on the daily time frame, we actually hit oversold on the 3-day Bitcoin RSI for the first time in over 3 years. The last time that this happened on the 3-day time frame was back in around mid 2022. And once again, if we're looking at what we saw these last few oversold signals in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI, we either saw just a sideways consolidation, choppy sideways price action, or a bit more of a bullish relief over the next few weeks, over the next 1 month, that sort of time frame, considering this is the 3-day time frame, obviously zoomed out a little bit further than just the daily time frame. And so considering the signal on the daily time frame and of course the signal on the 3-day time frame, it's likely that this bullish relief, or at worst maybe a sideways consolidation, but overall a break from all of the bearish price action, it's likely that this will last at least longer than just a few days, possibly 1 or 2 weeks is quite likely here in the shorter term. Either once again a slight bullish relief like this, or maybe a bit of choppy sideways price action, or maybe a bit of both. Essentially just a break from all of the bearish price action is quite likely in the coming days or in the coming 1 or 2 weeks. And if we're taking a look at this Bitcoin price chart here on the 6-hour time frame, obviously right now the price of Bitcoin is perfectly playing out this bullish divergence here on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart. And so once again, as I've been saying every day over the last almost half a week, around 3 days ago right here, I've been saying expect a slight bullish relief as a very likely scenario in the next few days moving forward for the price of Bitcoin. And what we've seen since then is exactly that as predicted, just a slight bullish relief here in the short term over the last few days. So continue to expect this to play out as I've already been perfectly predicting here. Obviously, just a slight bullish relief is quite likely moving forward. And if we're taking a look at the last couple of bullish divergences that confirmed and played out here on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, we saw just a slight bullish relief over the next few days or so. But once again, I want to make this clear, a bullish divergence is not necessarily a bottom signal or a reversal signal. It just means expect a slight relief moving forward over the coming days if we're talking about the 6-hour time frame, but not necessarily the bottom of the bearish trend. For example, we ultimately went lower than these previous bullish divergences later on over the next few weeks after the bullish divergence already played out. And so if we were only looking at this bullish divergence by itself, I'd say maybe it could play out over the next 1 or 2 days, but don't rely on it much longer than that, considering it's only on the 6-hour time frame. But we also have to consider the fact that we not only have the bullish divergence on the 6-hour time frame, we also have the oversold signal on the daily time frame and an oversold signal on the 3-day time frame. And so once again, if we put all of this information together, exactly like I've been saying over the last few days, I do expect just a slight bullish relief or maybe a bit of choppy sideways price action here and there, kind of like this is a very likely scenario for at least a few more days, most likely maybe 1 or 2 weeks. That sort of time frame is what I expect here. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see that right now we've just built a small amount of liquidity and we're pretty much already starting to wipe this out. That's just above the price at roughly 88,500 to almost 89,000. So that's the immediate target to watch out for. And above that, we have a decent amount of liquidity building at close to 94,000 and a lot of liquidity building at roughly 97,000. So those are the next major price targets to watch out for the price of Bitcoin. But keep in mind, between the current price and those higher points of liquidity like 97,000, of course, would likely find resistance along the way. And if we're taking a look at possible points of resistance, once again, we have a lot of resistance in between roughly 92 to 94,000 to pay attention to. And if we break out above all of that area, in that situation, the next target would be at almost exactly 100,000. But the immediate resistance, the next significant resistance, once again, 92 to 94,000. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates, we can see that right now, a lot of the Bitcoin funding rates in particular are still sitting in the negative territory, which means there's still basically fuel for a short squeeze. That's essentially what this means, because it means there's currently a premium to short Bitcoin currently, despite this latest bounce. There's still a lot of people trying to pile into short positions, despite the fact that I've already been predicting over the last few days a slight bullish relief. So obviously the people piling into short positions have not been watching my channel, they've been watching someone else and potentially about to get wrecked. And so like I said in my last video, we're likely now starting to play out a bit of a short squeeze, which can help push the price a little bit higher in the short term. But considering the fact that the funding rates are not extremely negative, they are slightly negative, but they're basically just below neutral, I don't necessarily expect a massive short squeeze, for example, towards all-time highs. I don't expect anything like that, but just a bit more bullish price action in the short term, kind of like what we've seen over the last couple of days here, is quite likely moving forward. And so if you want to take advantage of this price action that's already starting to play out right now for the price of Bitcoin and altcoins, then definitely get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the first link below this video in the description or in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to Pinex. It'll take you to this page right here where you can take advantage of some massive deposit bonuses just by simply making an account using that link on Pinex and making a deposit. As little as $100 deposit, you get a $200 bonus from the exchange into your account. If you deposit $1,000, you get a $600 bonus. All the way up towards these much larger amounts, you can get up to 40,000 USDT as as a deposit bonus. This is basically money from the exchange which they give you into your account, which you can then go ahead to use to actually open these Bitcoin trades if you want to. And so in other words, you can basically trade using the exchange's money, using this deposit bonus. And then of course, if you ultimately profit out of that trade, you can withdraw any of the profits that you made out of that trade using the exchange's money, just once again by making a deposit using that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well take advantage of this and check this out using that first link below the video. But if you want a no KYC crypto exchange, and an exchange that's actually giving people compensation for any losses on their trades right now, then definitely check out the second link below this video. That second link below the video will take you to 2bit. It'll take you to this page right here, where you can also take advantage of some major bonuses and loss protection from your trades. And so as you can see right here, during this event, new traders, so if you're just making your account for the first time using the link below the video, you can get up to a 100% loss protection on your first trade over on 2bit, up to 200 USDT in trial funds. And on top of that, if you get liquidated during this event right here of over 50 USDT in liquidations during this event, you can get compensated up to 1,000 USDT back after potentially losing a trade. And so once again, if you want to check this out and take advantage of this on top of deposit bonuses and things like that, then definitely check this out. Second link below the video to 2bit. And once again, 2bit is indeed a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and right now with this latest bullish move, we're actually starting to see a little bit more of a pullback in the Bitcoin dominance, which is very interesting because this now means that altcoins are finally having a little bit more of a relief in the short term. And now over the last couple of days, I have been expecting maybe a slight little bullish move like this in the Bitcoin dominance, but overall right now I actually expect a bit more of a sideways consolidation. So not necessarily extremely bullish or extremely bearish, just a bit of short-term bullish and short-term bearish price action, kind of just chopping around relatively sideways is what I expect just for the next few days. So of course that means that altcoins can actually be doing quite well in the short term, especially if Bitcoin continues this bullish move. Obviously that's also going to help a lot of the altcoin market as always. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH is continuing to perfectly bounce from this exact retracement level here, sitting at around 2620. So really in between around 2.6k to 2.7k is still a strong area of support to watch out for. And as for resistance to watch out for, we're now heading towards this area of resistance in between roughly 3,000 to 3.1k. So keep in mind, we could likely struggle or possibly reject from around that area, give or take 3,000. But if we start to break out above that area, especially with a candle close above 3.1k, and especially if we hold that as new support, in that situation, the next target that I'll be watching is at close to 3.3k, really around 3280 to 3.3k, and above that I'll be targeting around 3.6k to 3.7k. And on top of the fact that we're perfectly bouncing from this exact retracement level here, we're also perfectly playing out this oversold signal in the daily Ethereum RSI. So once again, as I've already been saying over the last few days, it's extremely likely we're going to see just a slight bullish relief over the next few days. And since I've been saying that a few days ago, that's exactly what we've started to see as predicted. And this will likely continue moving forward, at least over the next couple of days here, because if we're taking a look at the last couple of times we confirmed or got close to confirming an oversold signal in the daily Ethereum RSI, we did see just a slight bullish relief over the next few days or over the next week, that sort of time frame. But once again, I want to make it clear that an oversold signal by itself does not necessarily confirm that the bottom is in. It is possible we could go lower at some point later on, but just in the immediate short term for the next few days, I do expect a little bit more of a relief like this as a very likely scenario for Ethereum, especially if Bitcoin plays out something similar, which has already been the case over the last few days. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, right now Solana is obviously bouncing from this support at around 124 to 127, give or take, and we're on our way towards retesting this area of resistance sitting in between around 143 to 147. And on top of the fact that we're bouncing from roughly this area of support, we also got extremely close to oversold on the 2-day Solana RSI, and of course on slightly smaller time frames we already hit oversold in the RSI for the price of Solana, which is another signal pointing towards just a slight little relief moving forward in the short term. And so it is quite likely that in the next few hours or days we could start to retest this area of resistance that I just mentioned earlier, and if we start to break out above this area, so back above around 147, especially with a candle close above that level, and especially if we hold this as new support again, in that situation the next target that I'll be watching out for, the next point of resistance, would be sitting at roughly $167, so really close to 170 as the next major resistance to watch out for if we first confirm a breakout above 143 to 147. That is the immediate resistance to watch out for. And if we're taking a quick look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, technically speaking we still have that massive bearish divergence, which has not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate the bearish divergence. So overall this is still something to watch out for, something to be warned about on the much larger time frames that plays out over multiple weeks or months. So once again, this is not a short-term signal, but if we're zooming into the slightly shorter term, taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, what is more of a shorter term signal is of course this new bullish divergence, which is just now confirmed with of course the latest lower low in the price in the candle closes and higher lows now officially confirmed in the daily XRP RSI if we're looking compared to this previous low and of course this latest low. And so as usual, a bullish divergence typically means we're going to see either a slight bullish relief or maybe some choppy sideways price action, but considering the fact that Bitcoin's starting to play out a bit of a short squeeze, this can help cause a bit of a short squeeze for some of these altcoins like XRP, and also considering the fact that at least over the last one day, just in the short term, we have seen a drop in the Bitcoin dominance. Once again, that means altcoins can be slightly outperforming Bitcoin, at least right now in the immediate short term. So with Bitcoin playing out a bullish relief, some short squeeze happening right now, and the Bitcoin dominance having this slight drop, of course this can help XRP and some of these major altcoins have some decent bounces just in the short term. And now keep in mind, we have seen many decent bounces in the short term during the larger bearish trend, so this alone is not enough confirmation to fully confirm the end of this larger bearish trend, at least not as of right now. But if we're talking about the shorter term, the next few hours, days, maybe over the next week, that sort of time frame, do continue to expect either a bit more of a bullish relief here, bullish move, or maybe some choppy sideways price action here and there as well. Ultimately just a break or a relief from the bearish trend, but not necessarily confirming the end of the bearish trend, at least as of right now. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, expect a lot of support at roughly $2.05. So at close to $2, we have a lot of support around there now that we've broken out back above that level. And as for resistance, it's possible we could find a small amount of resistance at give or take $2.20, which we're now testing as of recording this video. But if this bullish move continues, then in that situation, expect a lot of resistance in between $2.30 to $2.40, and if we break out above that area, expect to move towards around $2.60 as a major price target towards the upside. But once again, the immediate resistance to watch out for above $2.20 is in between $2.30 to $2.40. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a similar situation for Chainlink. Obviously, we've not yet fully confirmed the end of this bearish trend, at least for now. For all we know, this could just be another short-term bullish move like all of these other short-term bullish moves during the larger bearish trend, so keep that in mind. But if we're talking about the shorter term, as in what we should be expecting over the next few hours or days, maybe over the next 1 week, do expect just either a slight bullish relief like this, as we've already started to see over the last few days, exactly as predicted, either a slight bullish relief or maybe a bit of choppy sideways price action here and there, kind of like what we saw back here or back here, for example, as a very likely scenario just in the shorter term. And this is mainly due to two different reasons. Of course, course, the main reason is due to the fact that Bitcoin and other major altcoins are playing that out, and Chainlink, along with a lot of the altcoin market, follows very similar price action to whatever Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin's playing out this bullish relief, expect something similar for a lot of the major altcoins like Chainlink. And another reason as to why we're playing out this short-term bullish relief is due to the fact that we hit oversold at this latest local low in the price. We hit oversold in the daily Chainlink RSI for the first time in many months. And so the reaction that we're seeing right now in the price of Chainlink is very normal to see from an oversold signal, because ultimately we're resetting the RSI now out of those oversold territories, which can technically give us a little bit more room towards the downside again later on. But in the immediate short term, do continue to expect just a slight relief as a very likely scenario. And as for resistance or support to watch out for, of course, we have a lot of support at around $11.60, which is pretty much perfectly where the price exactly bounced from at $11.60. And if we break below that level, we have a lot more support in between $10.90 to $11. And as for resistance to watch out for, expect a lot of resistance in between roughly $13 to $13.20, which we're now starting to test as of recording this video. And if we break out above around $13.20 with confirmation, especially if we hold that as new support in that situation, we could find a small amount of resistance at give or take $14.50 to $14.60. But the next strong resistance to watch out for is in between $15.20 to $15.70. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing here, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.